Hey everybody, this is Robert Mathis from The Quest for Groove. It's the first video of the year, and I thought it would be fun to share with you all an exercise that I did over the past year that helped me a lot in terms of improving my finger drumming and my rhythm and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to share it with you so that you might be able to do that over the year that's to come and improve your playing just as much as I did over the past year. So without further ado, let's go.
The Quest for Groove.
Arguably, the best thing about this exercise is that you can do this anywhere. You do not even need a pad controller to do it. You can drum on your body, you can drum on your desk, you can drum on the steering wheel of your car, given that you're, standing still and you're not doing anything dangerous. You can do this anywhere. And the first step to take is to come up with a nice, bouncy 16th note pattern. And just to give you an example, this is one of the patterns that I came up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. Just an example of a pattern, and what we have to do is we have to tap this out with one of our hands. And let's just take our dominant hand, in this case my right hand, and let's just tap this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I just demonstrated this by playing on my chest just to give you an example of one of the places where you can tap this thing out, right? You can also do it on your legs, but it's hard for me to film my legs, so I'm just playing it over here. So that's step 1. Tap the thing out. Now, for step 2, I have to first show you what this pattern looks like written down, because otherwise it's hard to explain. So over here, I wrote it down for you. And if you look at the notes, we have 4 counts, subdivided by 4, 16th notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E, and that's probably not new to you. And all the X's are the hits that I just said out loud. So if you tap this out, da 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 da. That's the pattern. And the next step we want to take is we want to fill in the gaps between those X's with our other hand, softer taps. And let me just play this out for you on my desk. So this hand, the dominant hand, right hand, plays the X's, and this hand, my left hand, my non-dominant hand, plays those dots in between. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that's what that looks like. Let me count out loud. Tick, 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 tick. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now might be a good time to explain the rules for the patterns that you want to come up with throughout the year, because this is obviously not the only pattern that you want to be practicing. Preferably you come up with your own fun pattern that you like to play, but it has to adhere by certain rules. And the rules are this. If you look at this, it's only groupings of 1 and 2. What do I mean by that? Well, this is 1. This is one other note, and it's 2 X's, and then 1 dot, 1 X, 1 dot, 1 X, 1 dot, 2 X's, 1 dot, 2 X's, 2 dots, right? So there's never 3 X's after one another. There's also never 3 dots after one another, or 4 dots or 5 dots. It's only groupings of 1 and 2. That's very important because the more hits you have to play with one hand at the same time, the harder it gets, especially if you speed things up, right? So if you play this pattern fast, right? It's not about playing fast, by the way, but yeah, just trust me, don't play more than 2 notes with one hand at a time. And what you want to pay especially close attention to is the end of the bar, right? Because we're looping things. So if we have 2 dots over here, this has to be an X, because if you loop things and these are 2 dots and you have a dot over here, then technically you're playing 3 dots, which is not allowed. So 2 dots means 1 X here, 2 X's here means 1 dot here. There's just no way around that, okay? Now, So that's the rules. 4 counts, 16 notes. Come up with your own pattern. Groupings of 1, groupings of 2. Those are the rules for coming up with patterns. And I highly suggest you have a little notepad or something. And whenever you come up with something fun, you write it down like this so you can come back to it, or you can remember what you came up with throughout the year. Okay. Now, next step is to practice this thing, right? The first thing to do is just, play it like I just played it before. But the thing you want to be focusing on is not going too fast and really focus on getting a flow going in between your 2 hands. That's the core of the exercise. Because if you play this like this, I'm going to play this sloppy on purpose, then you're not really getting any benefit out of practicing this. So if you do it like this, it will not get you anywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just messing it up right now. That's pretty normal if that's happening to you, simply because you do not have full control over your hands yet, especially with those alternating double stroke, single stroke, stuff like that. But that's what you want to be practicing. You want to be practicing smoothing that out. So take it slow and maybe say the pattern out loud, and then see if you can make your hands achieve that same smoothness, that same flow. Da 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 da. That's more or less smooth, and then and especially there at the end of the bar, don't rush those last 2 taps with the non-dominant hand. So that's step 1. No metronome yet, nothing else yet, just smooth things out. Then we want to flip the pattern around, because one of the hard things we have to do while doing all this is we have to play the lead with our non-dominant hand. Da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you probably want to practice leading with the non-dominant hand twice as much as you want to practice the leading with the dominant hand, because you're probably already better at doing that. And one of the goals of this exercise is to get more control over our non-dominant hands. It's not necessarily that we're practicing to always have our non-dominant hand as a leading hand or something. That's more of a circus trick. It's more that if you do this and you do this well, and you are making the gap between your strong and your weak hand narrower, it's just going to benefit you whatever you're playing. Doesn't really matter. Even if you're playing a very basic beat with a few ghost notes with the non-dominant hand, it's still going to benefit you to train it and to have more control over it. So that's step 2. Come up with your own beat, groups of 1, groups of 2, then playing it with the dominant hand leading, smoothing things out, then switching to the other hand, playing it twice as much with the non-dominant hand leading, and then we're ready for the next step, which is counting out loud. Yeah, and one thing I would like to add to that is that all of these steps that I mentioned, they don't have to happen in one practice session, right? You can do this at any point during the day. You can do this for 1 minute and then slowly but surely go through all these steps. So it's not a bad thing if you just practiced your dominant hand and then a few days later you start with the non-dominant hand, and then a few days later you start counting. That this is not a one-day thing. This is an overnight, multiple nights of sleep in between type of process. Keep that in mind. So all of these counts, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4, you want to say those out loud with your voice. I prefer to say tick, 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 so to pretend that my voice is a metronome. But I already sort of did that because I was giving you an example, but that's what you want to be doing as well. So you want to count 1, 2, tick, 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 tick. Right, and then with the other hand, tick, 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 tick. Right, you want to do both, and Here's another benefit of writing things down, right? Because if you wrote it down, the pattern like this, you can actually see where those counts or those ticks fall. So the 2 apparently falls together, is a gap. So it's if the right hand was leading, then the 2 falls together with the left hand. Tick, tick. Yeah, that's correct. A lot of people tell you to practice with a metronome, right? Well, I'm telling you to do that as well, but something that they skip a lot is that they don't make you actually fully feel where those metronome beats are supposed to go in relation to your hands or in relation to what you're playing. And this exercise, counting out loud, saying tick, 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 while you're playing that pattern and while you're trying to smooth things out, that's basically the true final step into truly understanding what it is that you're playing and where everything that you're playing falls in relation to time, if you understand what I'm saying. So some of you might be wondering, like, okay, this is a fun exercise and all, but how is this going to benefit me in the real world, right? When I take this to the pad controller, how can I use this? And well, you can definitely use a pattern like this basically directly on the pad controller. For example, if I would translate this pattern that we just practiced with my my dominant hand leading, you could play something like this. So as you can see, you can definitely translate this directly into tasty sounding beats. And I actually made a course about this called Next Level Beats. I released that a couple of months ago on questforgroove.com, in which we're doing that specific thing. But I really want to stress out that practicing this, the benefits that come with practicing this exercise that we talked about, it's not that you can immediately play a lot of cool beats on your pad controller. That's the next step that comes after this. The thing that you're practicing right now is coordination between your 2 hands, smoothing things out, training yourself to feel where the beat is by saying 1, 2, 3, 4 out loud, syncing with the metronome. And also you're training your own creativity, right? You're linking all of that to fun, bouncy, syncopated grooves that you like, little patterns that you like to play or that sound good to you, and then you make your both hands play that thing. And that's sort of a preliminary stage of improvising on the pad controller, right? Because if you can come up with something instantly, or a fun pattern or a fun rhythm, and you know immediately how to play that thing with one hand or with the other hand, and then filling in the gaps, that's sort of what's slowly but surely bringing you towards the next level stage of having more freedom on the kit. And it's fine to first just do this with your hands for a year and not even take it to the kit. But if you want, the Next Level Beats course is there for you. Link below. Now, one more trick I can share with you while doing this throughout the year is that you can use a piece of paper to create some separation between your 2 hands. Right? Now we have 2 distinct sounds and we can practice with that a little bit. Here's another video you might like. I hope that this exercise will serve you well over the year or years to come. It really helped me, so I cannot recommend it enough. See you in the next one, and have a great day. Bye-bye.